Welcome to the Deep Dive, listeners. Today, we're really going deep, diving into a career path you might not hear about every day, router operator.
Router operator. That's an interesting choice.
Right, it's not your typical office job, that's for sure. But think about it. Ever wonder who crafts those intricate designs on furniture? You know, those fancy cutouts and curves you always see?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Or how about those precisely shaped parts in airplanes? It's all thanks to router operators. They're kind of like the unsung heroes of manufacturing.
I can see that. Most people probably wouldn't even think about it. They just see the finished product, not the skill that goes into making it.
Exactly. And that's where our deep dive comes in. We're lucky to have some awesome insights from RoleCatcher, this career development platform, to guide us.
Sounds interesting. What have they got?
Well, first off, when I hear router, I'm thinking Wi-Fi, right? Like,
Yeah.
not the most thrilling image,
Yeah, me too. Not very exciting.
right? But RoleCatcher totally changed my perspective. We're not talking about your home internet here. We're talking about shaping all sorts of materials: wood, composites, aluminum, even foams.
Wow, that's a lot more than I expected. Composites, those are like materials made by combining different things, right?
You got it. It's like mixing and matching ingredients to get extra strength or flexibility.
So are we talking like high-end furniture here
Uh,
or more industrial stuff?
both, actually. It's amazing how diverse the applications are. Think about the craftsmanship on a sleek, modern chair, or the insane precision required for aerospace components.
Now that you mention it, yeah, those airplane parts have to be perfect.
Exactly. It's not just about pushing buttons on a machine. These router operators have to be able to read and understand those complex blueprints.
Blueprints, those are like detailed maps for each cut.
Exactly. They guide every single cut they make.
Mm.
And they need to have this deep understanding of the materials they're working with, because different router bits, those cutting tools, interact differently with each material.
Oh, that makes sense. You can't use the same bit on a piece of foam as you would on a chunk of aluminum.
Exactly. So you can see it's this unique blend of technical knowledge and hands-on skill.
It sounds like they need to be super precise.
Absolutely. But also adaptable, because what happens if something goes wrong mid-cut? You can't exactly hit undo.
Right, that's when things get tricky.
That's where the real expertise comes in, according to RoleCatcher. Troubleshooting is like a key part of the job. A good router operator can figure out what's wrong, adjust the settings on the fly, and still make sure the final product is perfect, meeting all the specifications.
Wow, so they're like the detectives of the manufacturing world.
That's a great way to put it. Always on the lookout for clues to optimize the process. And speaking of optimizing, RoleCatcher gave us a glimpse into the career ladder for router operators, and it's not just a one-size-fits-all kind of job.
Oh, really? Tell me more. Yeah, there's definitely a path you can climb. It's not like you're stuck in one spot.
So what does that path look like? Where do you even start?
Well, you usually start as a junior operator, getting the hang of things. You'd probably be working on a single spindle machine first.
Single spindle.
Yeah, that means it's got one cutting head. For us newbies, got to start
But
somewhere, right?
one step at a time. So then what? You move up to, like, double spindle?
Exactly. You got it. More spindles, more responsibility. According to RoleCatcher, a senior operator might even train new recruits, troubleshoot problems, or even help bring in new technologies on the floor. They become like the go-to experts, making sure everything runs smoothly.
So you're not just running the machines, you're managing people and technology too.
Exactly. It's a lot more than just pushing buttons. And get this some even reach, like master router operator.
Router operator. Okay, that sounds serious.
Right. It's like the highest level you can reach.
So what does it take to get to that master level?
Well, you need a deep knowledge of all the materials. Like, you really need to know your stuff. And advanced blueprint reading is a must. No more basic maps. You've got to navigate the complex stuff.
Makes sense. You're like the master architect of router cuts at that point.
Exactly. And then there's programming. You'd be programming those computerized routers to make those super intricate multi-step cuts. That's where the real magic happens.
It's like the perfect blend of technology and craftsmanship.
100%.
Okay, so let's say someone listening is like, all right, this router operator thing sounds pretty cool. What are the top things they should know if they want to try out this career path?
Well, first things first. Hands-on experience. You've got to get your hands dirty, literally. Look into vocational schools, apprenticeships, anything where you're actually working with the tools and the materials.
Right, you can't learn everything from a book.
Exactly. No substitute for real experience. But of course, you'll eventually have those job interviews. And RoleCatcher had some interesting tips on that, too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, it's all about showing you're not just some button pusher, you know? You need to prove you understand the ins and outs of the job.
Show them you're a router whiz.
Exactly. Be ready to talk about the different router types, your experience troubleshooting tricky situations, even the difference between a plunge router and a fixed base router.
So knowing the lingo is key.
Definitely. It shows you've done your homework.
No, beyond just those router operation specifics, are there any other skills, transferable skills that could be helpful in this career? Skills that translate to other industries too.
Oh, for sure. Problem solving is a big one. You're constantly analyzing situations, adapting, and finding solutions on the fly.
Right, because things don't always go according to plan.
Never. And attention to detail, you need that for those blueprints, that's for sure. Every tiny measurement matters. And of course, let's not forget teamwork and communication, especially when you're in a busy manufacturing environment.
So you're not just learning a trade, you're gaining skills that can take you anywhere.
Exactly. It's like a hidden advantage. Now, speaking of advantages, we can't ignore the big question that's probably on everyone's minds.
The elephant in the room. Or should we say the robot in the room?
Exactly. Automation. RoleCatcher really digs into how automation is changing things for router operators. What are your thoughts on that? Robots taking over, or is it more complicated than that?
It's a big question for sure. I mean, you hear about automation everywhere you turn these days.
It's true, and it's definitely shaking things up in a lot of industries, including manufacturing.
So how is it changing things for router operators specifically? What does RoleCatcher say?
Well, they talk about how automation is bringing in some seriously impressive machinery. Imagine routers that can handle multiple cuts at once, switch tools all on their own, all with very little human intervention.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So what does that mean for someone who wants to be a router operator? Are those hands-on skills like becoming a thing of the past?
Not necessarily. RoleCatcher really stresses that while automation is changing how things are done, it's also opening up some cool new opportunities.
Oh, really? In what way?
Well, think about it. Someone's got to program those automated systems, right? And troubleshoot any issues that come up, not to mention oversee the whole process to make sure everything's running smoothly.
So it's more like working with the robots, not being replaced by them.
Exactly. And that's where those human skills are still crucial. You need someone who understands the ins and outs of the machines, the materials, the whole process.
Makes sense. So it sounds like the best router operators in the future will be those who can adapt and learn those new technologies.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher actually highlighted the importance of continuous learning in this field. They said the most successful operators are the ones who are always up for a challenge, ready to pick up new software, embrace those new technologies. It's like they're taking craftsmanship to a whole new level.
I like that. So it's not just about muscle memory, it's about brain power too.
Totally. And RoleCatcher actually gave some great resources for people who want to learn more. They mentioned things like professional organizations like the Society of Manufacturing Engineers and the Precision Machine Products Association.
Oh yeah, those are great for networking and staying up to date on all the latest and greatest.
Oh, exactly. You can connect with people in the industry, find out about training programs, that kind of thing. It's like a community of people who are passionate about this stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I also noticed RoleCatcher had this cool section on adjacent career guides. What's that all about?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. It's basically saying, hey, if you're into this type of work, here are some other paths you might find interesting too.
So if you start with router operation, you don't necessarily have to stay there forever. You can branch out.
Precisely. They mention things like slitter operator, sawmill operator, even laser cutting machine operator. It's all about recognizing those transferable skills you pick up along the way and how they can open doors to different but related fields.
It's like you're not just learning one job, you're learning a whole set of skills that can take you in all sorts of directions.
Exactly. And it keeps things interesting.
It definitely does. Well, as we wrap up this router operator deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That's a good one. I'd say if you're looking for a career that's hands-on, technical, and always evolving, and you're not afraid of a little hard work, don't write off router operation. It's a field with a bright future.
Well said. And for our listeners, remember, as technology keeps advancing, who knows what awesome new opportunities will pop up in the world of router operation. The future is out there, just waiting to be shaped. Until next time, keep on learning, keep on exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.